Hello everyone, it's Melinda and today we're going to be talking about phylite. I think this is going to be a really good video, particularly for those that are just starting out and just starting their own rock hounding or mineral collecting journey and are finding these beautiful, sparkly, shiny, metallic looking rocks and, you know, maybe getting this inkling that they've got something really special. Maybe you do, maybe you don't, but more often than not, when we're new, we find these types of rocks and have these really big hopes for something special like gold or silver or graphite, something along those lines. And more often than not, it is mica, which is what typically makes up phylite. And we'll get into more detail about that in a second. I just want to apologize ahead of time. They've turned off our air conditioning in our building, and I already run hot because of my autoimmune disease, so I'm very, very breathy. I'm slurring my words a little bit. I'm having a little bit of a hard time, but I take so much joy out of making these videos, so I thought I would, you know, give it a shot. I hope you can still, you know, take away what I'm saying. Alright, so I'm first going to start showing you my little collection from an abandoned gold mine, actually the first gold mine in Ontario, in the ghost town of El Dorado. It used to be open to the public by like private appointment, but is now officially closed. So even though my specimens are just phylite, you know, a lot of people say that's just phylite. You know, I still love my pieces. You know, they're wonderful examples of what they are, you know. I'm not really particularly snobby about my rocks. I just know I like them and, you know, I just like to understand them. I find that part fascinating. I'm not so much, you know, a downer on things that are more common. And phylite is certainly common, very, very common. So these were actually plucked from inside the mine itself, which I was very excited to go into. It's over 100 years old, so it was pretty cool to go in there. You can see where it's been weathered, that sparkly shimmer. And it is kind of a golden shimmer. If you are new and you saw this, you might think, oh, maybe that's a dusting of gold. It is a gold mine after all. Unfortunately, no, it's not gold. And gold is typically far more yellow, very, very you know, bright yellow. But, you know, we like to wish, we like to hope when we're new, and that's never a bad thing, as long as it encourages, you know, research and getting down to the truth of the matter. But yeah, this one is one of my favorites. I just love the way it kind of, I don't know, I think it kind of weathered a bit in this area. I love the structure of it and that beautiful shine. Definitely one of my favorite phylite specimens. Yeah, so I'll start my little ramble. So phylite is a foliated metamorphic rock that has been subjected to low levels of heat, pressure, and chemical activity. It is composed mainly of flake-shaped mica minerals in parallel alignment. So these sparkly things that we're seeing here are actually mica, not gold or silver or anything particularly, you know, interesting or rare. The strong parallel alignment of the mica grains allows the rock to be easily split into sheets or slabs. The alignment of the mica grains gives phylite a reflective sheen, like we're seeing here, that distinguishes it from slate. So slate is the metamorphic stage prior to phylite, and it does not contain these beautiful, easily seen sparkles. It doesn't have a sheen like this, and that's how you can easily tell the two stages apart. Yeah, so phylite is usually gray, black, or greenish in color, and often weathers to a tan or brown. Its reflective sheen often gives it a silvery metallic appearance, and again, that's kind of what makes it a trickster. I'll put that one down. Here are some other ones. And this rock is clearly composed of some other things as well as phylite. A more finely grained version on the top here, but it definitely still has that shimmery sheen, that sparkly sheen. And then on the inside, kind of verging on a schist rather than a phylite. And then on the top, it's that very fine green phylite again. So this particular specimen definitely contains a variety of things. And these are all from in the mine, so they all do share kind of a similar look. You can see how they said these are easily split, and I don't think they mean just in your hands as a human person, but rather with tools. They split easily because the grains of mica are all aligned in a certain direction, and I think you can see that by the way it breaks. You can kind of see the layering of the material. A lot of my specimens show that, so I'll continue to point it out. Whew, it is warm in here. Huh. I hope I'm not slurring too much, guys. I hope you can hear me. Nice little piece. I like this one because it's, I don't know, it's almost looked like it's been squished or something. It's a cutie. And there we go. And oh, I'm so hot, so I'm gonna get the big one over with. It's also from inside the mine. Oh, there we go. And it does have a similar look to graphite, although when you really look close up to it, you can see those grains. And it does not mark up paper or anything like graphite would. If I rub this on my white tablecloth here, it may make some sort of mark, but it would be nothing like graphite. Graphite just gets everywhere, all over your hands. It rubs off on anything. Very, very, very soft. So that's a way you can tell it from graphite. If you're kind of convinced it's graphite and want to test it out, streak test is a good one. There we go. All right. So that was from inside the El Dorado gold mine, but now I have some specimens from the tailings of the gold mine that I think are really pretty. This one's much more silvery looking. And again, it has that kind of look as if it broke off sort of sheet-like. Very silvery. So pretty. So phylite is a very common metamorphic rock found in many parts of the world. It forms when sedimentary rocks are buried and mildly altered by the heat and directed pressure of regional metamorphism. So cool. Even though it's an extremely common rock type, does not mean we can't love it and still think it's beautiful. I certainly do. So it's dawning on me now, if I have not made this clear, phylite is a type of rock. It is not a mineral in its own, right. It's a rock composed of mostly mica, but there are other minerals kind of mixed in there as well. And we'll get to that in a little bit too. I like this one. It's a little bit greenish. Speaking of greenish, if you're familiar with fuchsite or fuchsite, which is a chrome green colored mica mineral, typically it is in phylite form. So if you're familiar with that really dusty, grainy, fuchsite, then you're already familiar with a type of phylite. There we go. Alrighty. Okay, I think I'll move on to just a couple of specimens from Ontario, and I do not remember the specific location, which is not like me, but they're so pretty, so I thought I would show them off. Anyways, there you go. This is a really nice shimmery, silvery, kind of pearlescent colored one. Really like this one. So cute. So, phylite was originally a fine-grained sedimentary rock such as shale or mudstone. We touched on this very, very briefly, but I want to go over it in more detail. And it, at that point, is composed mainly of clay minerals in a semi-random orientation. The rock was then buried and subjected to enough direct pressure to move the clay mineral grains towards parallel alignment, and at the same time there was enough heat and chemical activity to begin transforming the clay mineral grains into chlorite, or more commonly, mica minerals. So that's how that transformation takes place. At that point, it was the metamorphic rock known as slate. So the mica minerals are now present, but they're not large enough yet to produce this shimmer that we see, this nice lovely shine. So after that, continued heat and chemical activity completed the clay to mica transformation and caused the mica grains to enlarge. Additional directed pressure brought the mica grains into a strong parallel alignment, and the result is the rock that we're seeing now, phylite. There we go. And there's quartz in the center of this one. This is certainly not a chunk of, pure phylite. It looks like there's a layer of it. So I don't know about any of you, but I'm very much a visual learner. I learned from seeing and doing. So I thought I'd print this out for you guys to kind of visualize the process. So again, it starts off as this shale, where it's composed of clay minerals. Then the metamorphism stage goes to slate, where it has begun to change the clay minerals into mica minerals, but they're still too small to really show us that shimmery shine. And there's still some, clay present in there. It hasn't fully morphed completely into mica. In the next stage, phylite, which is what we're, exploring today, the grains of clay have fully transformed into mica, and they're now lined parallelly in one direction. And they're large enough now to produce that shimmer and sheen that we see. And if we wanted to go even further, the next stage would be schist, which is much more flaky, big flakes of mica that you can literally pick off and scrape off. They fall off easily. Oftentimes in schists you'll find, at least where I grew up in Sudbury, Ontario, you'll also find garnets in there. But possibly more so when you get into the gneiss, which will still have some very evident mica, larger sized crystals may be present in there, more kyanite, more, like I said, almandine garnets, less fine-grained than in schist form, much more pronounced in gneiss, although, sometimes you'll find something that's in the middle stages, like I've been saying about the slate and the phylite. Sometimes you'll see different areas that have been, been through different stages of the metamorphism. Oh my gosh, that's a lot of learning when you're sweating to death. But I hope I hope that gave you a little bit of a perspective and understanding of how that process takes place and how these beautiful rocks are made. Okay, next up, I would love to look at my phylite specimens from Sudbury, Ontario. Again, that's my hometown, so I am very lucky to do some rockhounding there at least once a year. Some beautiful specimens of phylite. Whew, sorry. I'm panting a bit now. Apologize. It's not comfortable for anyone to hear. Ooh. But my goodness, these are so beautiful. I love sharing them with you guys, panting or not panting. And again, you can see that layered formation that makes them kind of easy to break apart. So again, as a little recap, phylite is composed mainly of tiny grains of mica minerals. And mica minerals include, muscovite, biotite. As I said before, there's even fuchsite, fuchsite, depending on how you like to pronounce it. That's a really interesting word. And others, right? There are a huge variety of mica minerals within the mica group. So fine-grained quartz and feldspar are often also abundant in phylite. So like I said earlier, it's not purely mica minerals in here. Just that is certainly the most abundant mineral in phylite. However, those minerals, like the quartz and feldspar, are usually smaller than what can easily be seen with the unaided eye. So again, that's why we're mostly seeing mica. And they form through the low-grade metamorphic transformation of clay minerals. So again, all of the minerals that are present in here have once come from shale, and clay minerals. I find that whole process totally mind-blowing and super fascinating, so I'm sorry if I'm repeating myself, but I just think it's a really cool thing to learn, a good thing to know as a rock collector. Alright. Love this one. So pretty. More of like a bronzy colored one. So crystals of other metamorphic minerals such as andalusite, biotite, cordierite, garnet, and staurolite might also form within phylite. Their crystals often grow large enough to be seen and identified with the unaided eye. So there are certainly some other minerals that grow large enough within phylite that you can see them. In my specimens, I don't think so. Some of them have some spots, so there might be something in there that we're seeing, but nothing that I can identify anyways. So pretty. Alright. And lastly, I believe, I'll show you my two phylite specimens that are from Sudbury, Ontario that have little small areas of calcopyrite. I always love that when there's some pyrite or calcopyrite included in a specimen. So they are, the calcopyrite is here, all these kind of bronzy areas. It has been oxidized, that's why it's turning more of a, there are some little golden areas, but it's more of a coppery colored look at this point. You can easily see the mica flakes sparkling in this one. And then in some areas it's more of just a shimmer. Too cool. And my other one. The calcopyrite is a bit difficult to see in this one because it looks like it's been kind of stained with some interesting colored iron. Almost looks like a gasoline in a puddle. I love that look. But if you see my thumb, there are some spots here. And it's just kind of sparkled throughout. But again, it is difficult to see. I still think this specimen is so, so pretty. I love that coloring. Not so much on that side, but this side is lovely. Alright, so phylite does not have any important industrial uses. It is not strong enough to serve well as a crushed stone. However, slabs of phylite are occasionally trimmed and used as landscape, paving, or sidewalk stone. But it is not a valuable stone in any way. That doesn't mean we can't still love it. Alright. Okay. So before I say goodbye, I thought I would show you a bit of a trickster. So I have this specimen here. And it's got a bit of a sheen, a bluish sheen. It would be easy to assume that this is some sort of phylite. However, phylite is, as we keep saying, is mainly composed of mica. And mica is in no way magnetic. Phylite specimens should not be magnetic. But this one is extremely magnetic. That is because it is not phylite, even though it has that shimmer. This is one of these rare cases where the shimmer actually does, you know, kind of point towards something slightly more interesting. So what the specimen actually is ironstone. And I know this because I, collected it at an iron mine, where ironstone is just hugely abundant. I also know that because it is magnetic, and the fact that it is highly magnetic means there must be some sort of magnetite included in its chemistry, for sure. And I mean, even still, it could just be, a layer of phylite on top of that ironstone. Well, I find that a little bit difficult to believe because there's absolutely no mica at this location whatsoever. No indication of mica anywhere. And when you look at the specimen nice and closely, you don't see grains. What you see is more fibrous. And it is going to be difficult for my simple old iPad to pick it up. But the blue is actually tiny, tiny, tiny little fibers. And the darker little circular dots you're seeing all over are actually dark green epidote. And the blue fibers that we're seeing are, and again, this is my educated guess, I believe it is crocodolite, which is a blue form of asbestos. And again, it's not too much of a stretch because I have other specimens with blue crocodolite on it from this location, and others have found crocodolite there. So it does make sense. However, I've never seen it this, I guess, tiny. The crystal's so tiny, as if it were like a layer on top. But that's that's just my educated guess. If you're familiar with this, if you're looking at this and you say, I absolutely know what that is, please let me know. But as far as I know, I don't know. That would be my guess anyways. Yeah. So just to confuse you at the end, I thought I'd show you something that sparkles and is fine-grained, but is not phylite. So it's certainly okay to find something shiny and ask questions and have some sort of, intrigue or hope for something neat. Nothing wrong with that whatsoever. But the more you find phylite, the more you collect it and look at it, the more it becomes pretty easily recognizable out in the field. Alright guys, I hope that was educational. It sure was for me. I mean, I definitely knew a lot of this, but it was still a fantastic refresher. Yeah, I hope that was valuable to you guys. Thanks so much for stopping by, and hopefully I'll see you next time. Bye!